I start from the supposition that the world is topsy-turvy. That things are all wrong. That the wrong people are in jail and the wrong people are out of jail. That the wrong people are in power and the wrong people are out of power. That the wealth is distributed in this country and the world in such a way as not simply to require small reform, but to require a drastic reallocation of wealth. I start from the supposition that we don't have to say too much about this because all we have to do is think about the state of the world today and realize that things are all upside down. Now, if you don't think, if you just listen to TV and read scholarly things, you actually begin to think that things are not so bad, or that just little things are wrong. But you have to get a little detached and then come back and look at the world, and you are horrified. So we have to start from that supposition that things are really topsy-turvy. And our topic is topsy-turvy, civil disobedience. Now, as soon as you say the topic is civil disobedience, you're saying our problem is civil disobedience. That is not our problem. Our problem is civil obedience. Our problem is the numbers of people all over the world who have obeyed the dictates of the leaders of their government and have gone to war. And millions have been killed because of this obedience. We recognize this for Nazi Germany. We know that the problem there was obedience, that the people obeyed Hitler. People obeyed. That was wrong. They should have challenged, and they should have resisted. And if we were only there, we would have showed them. Even in Stalin's Russia, we can understand that. People are obedient. All these herd-like people. Remember those bad old days when people were exploited by feudalism? Everything was terrible in the Middle Ages.
I'm so alarmed by the state of affairs. I'm so alarmed that I'm kind of confused. Kind of like what this Matt Damon video is all about. Of course, I'm curious as to whether these threats of of our being hauled off to a concentration camp if we don't get a vaccine. I'd kind of like to see who did this video, and so that's what I'm doing right now. Is I'm taking it easy, doing some stretching, and I'm contemplating the heaviness of the information that I'm getting by studying these videos. I almost feel like I shouldn't be doing it. I should not be looking at the videos. You look at them, you get activated, you want to do something about it. And why isn't it working? Who the heck knows?
But now we have Western civilization, the rule of law. The rule of law has regularized and maximized the injustice that existed before the rule of law. That is what the rule of law has done. When in all the nations of the world, the rule of law is the darling of the leaders and the plague of the people, we ought to begin to recognize this. We have to transcend these national boundaries in our thinking. Nixon and Brezhnev have much more in common with one another than we have with Nixon. J. Edgar Hoover has far more in common with the head of the Soviet secret police than he has with us. It's the international dedication to law and order that binds the leaders of all countries in a comradely bond. That's why we're always so surprised when they get together. They smile, they shake hands, they smoke cigars. They really like one another, no matter what they say. What we are trying to do, I assume, is really to get back to the principles and aims and spirit of the Declaration of Independence. This spirit is resistance to illegitimate authority and to forces that deprive people of their life and liberty and right to pursue happiness. And therefore, under these conditions, it urges the right to alter or abolish their current form of government, and the stress had been on abolish. But to establish the principles of the Declaration of Independence, we're going to need to go outside the law, to stop obeying the laws that demand killing or that allocate wealth the way it's been done, or that put people in jail for petty technical offenses and keep other people out of jail for enormous crimes. My hope is that this kind of spirit will take place not just in this country, but in other countries, because they all need it. People in all countries need the spirit of disobedience to the state, which is not a metaphysical thing, but a thing of force and wealth. And we need a kind of declaration of interdependence among people in all countries of the world who are striving for the same thing.
Okay, so there's a viewer. And, of course, we have Matt Damon telling us what it is. And I think that movement is going to grow, but yet at the same time, those with all the wealth, they will stranglehold and they will play dirty. They're going to play dirty. They're going to do every evil thing imaginable. They're going to unleash disease. They're going to start a war. They're going to inflate the prices. They're going to demand payment. Take away everything. We're coming down to a real war between the rich and the poor. Here's the war. The rich against the poor. Now, why would the rich be against the poor? The poor were the ones that helped make the rich people rich. Strangely enough, there's so more poor people than rich people. You know, even in the Bible, it's one of the apostles was saying that he abhorred the prejudice that was happening in one of the congregations, and said, look, the rich people are the ones that are dragging you into courts and committing all these atrocities, and you're bowing to them, you're showing favoritism. And Christ was saying that all the brothers were equal. And we're all equal. And we all have to love one another. Not have to. We should find that ability to love. The rich love their own. But they don't love us. We've got to start thinking of the whole big family, and the greedy child that takes away all the toys from everybody else and hoards them for himself. You know, we would take that child aside and talk to him a little bit. And tell him it's just not the way to be. And then try to understand, look at it in depth until there's enough information and understanding that we can explain why something's good or bad. That's what we should spend time doing. Understanding the very nature of existence and our lives. Anybody out there? Oh.
Hello everybody, hope this finds you well. I was asked a question after I made a comment on a friend's channel. The name of the man is Toltec, is his handle. Good man, good family man. Much respect to you, Toltec. His video was about chemtrails and HAARP. I'll put the link to the video. I guess the info thingy down there. I said do not take the chip in the video, in my response comment. He then asked me if I would make a video explaining just how we're to avoid taking the chip. Okay. Not taking the chip's going to be the easy part. Just refuse to take the chip. Unless you're in prison, crippled up in a hospital, or some old person that can't get around, and defend themselves in a rest home. They're not going to go door to door forcing you to take the chip. In fact, I don't think there's any intent to force anyone to take the chip. It is mandatory, and it is in the health care bill. If you don't believe me, go up to your search bar up here and type in RFID in health care bill. It's in there. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. It's there. The problem isn't in not taking the chip. It's easy to simply refuse to take the chip. There are many people who will not be chipped. You will not be alone. Do not be afraid. The problem comes when the chip is fully implemented. You will no longer be able to get health care through the medical services if you're not chipped. You will not be able to buy and sell things once we live in a cashless society. You will not be able to work in a legitimate job because they will not be able to automatically withdraw withholding taxes and register your pay to your chip. Therein lies the dilemma. There are ways around this. I will not go into that because I do not want to give away the plans to defeat the chip. Until then, the chip will not be implemented until 2014. We still have time to defeat this bill and to have it repealed. We still have time to vote out all those fools in Congress that thought they were doing the right thing by enslaving us. We are not cattle to be marked and branded. We are human beings. No one, I repeat, no one or government has the right to place anything in your body you do not want there. It's not only unconstitutional, it is inhuman. You want to get chipped, you be my guest, you go right on ahead. Remember, they'll then control every aspect of your life, every single aspect of it. They decide you're not playing ball with them, you're not playing along with the rules that they establish, which are mostly going to be unconstitutional. They'll just simply shut your chip off, and you'll starve to death. Or die from lack of medical treatment. There's another problem with the chip. You've heard of nanite technology. If you haven't, look it up. Nanite technology. That could have something to do with the chemtrails and HAARP as well. We could be breathing them in right now and not know it. You could put millions of them on a head of a pin. They could be finding their way to where they're programmed to find their way, into your brains and nervous systems. But they won't do anything yet. They'll just sit there innate. They're waiting for the master chip to be switched on. Talking about your ultimate mind control. Don't take my word for anything. Do your own research on it. You'll find the technology is quite more advanced than what you might believe. I believe that's all I have on this subject right now. Don't take the chip. Detach yourself from the system. Stop being dependent on the government or on society or on civilization, which is about to crumble. Best of luck to you all. Peace, love, and understanding. Have a good day.
Hey everybody, I want to say hello to all my subscribers and my friends. I finally got myself situated in our new home, and I'm back online now, and everything's a-okay. Hey, there's something I need to put out this morning, and I've been praying about it now for a couple days, because I wasn't sure if the Lord wanted me to put it out, and if He did, and I didn't know if I should send it to someone else and have them put it out, and I've contacted a few of you, and gave you this kind of stuff, hoping that you would put this stuff out, but I haven't seen it. So I don't think that I can wait any longer. I was reading from Proverbs 15 today, and it happened to mention in there about putting some sort of knowledge out. I can't quote it right now. My Bible's in the other room. So, well, let's go. I'm just going to tell you.
Okay, the deal about that girl is...
This compromise guarantees more than $2 trillion in deficit reduction. It's an important first step to ensuring that as a nation we live within our means. Yet, it also allows us to keep making key investments in things like education and research that lead to new jobs, and assures that we're not cutting too abruptly while the economy is still fragile. This is, however, just the first step. This compromise requires that both parties work together on a larger plan to cut the deficit, which is important for the long-term health of our economy. And since you can't close the deficit with just spending cuts, we'll need a balanced approach where everything's on the table. Yes, that means making some adjustments to protect healthcare programs like Medicare so they're there for future generations. It also means reforming our tax code so that the wealthiest Americans and biggest corporations pay their fair share. And it means getting rid of taxpayer subsidies to oil and gas companies and tax loopholes that help billionaires pay a lower tax rate than teachers and nurses. I've said it before, I will say it again, we can't balance the budget on the backs of the very people who have borne the biggest brunt of this recession. Everyone's going to have to chip in. That's only fair. That's the principle I'll be fighting for during the next phase of this process. And in the coming months, I'll continue also to fight for what the American people care most about: new jobs, higher wages, and faster economic growth. In the last few months, the economy has already had to absorb an earthquake in Japan, the economic headwinds coming from Europe, the Arab Spring, and the rise in oil prices, all of which have been very challenging for the recovery. But these are things we couldn't control. Our economy didn't need Washington to come along with a manufactured crisis to make things worse. That was in our hands. It's pretty likely that the uncertainty surrounding the raising of the debt ceiling for both businesses and consumers has been unsettling, and just one more impediment to the full recovery that we need. And it was something that we could have avoided entirely. And while we're on the topic of infrastructure, there's another stalemate in Congress right now involving our aviation industry, which has stalled airport construction projects all around the country and put the jobs of tens of thousands of construction workers and others at risk because of politics. It's another Washington-inflicted wound on America, and Congress needs to break that impasse now, hopefully before the Senate adjourns, so these folks can get back to work.
Okay. I did, it says everyone has to chip in 2013. It's kind of a trick. It's not really chipping. All right, give me the... All right, let's take a look at the 666 deal.
He causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Revelation chapter 13 verses 16 to 17. The book of Revelation reveals at some period of Earth's history that a power will be able to monitor and track every person that wishes to engage in all forms of commerce, including employment and all day-to-day transactions such as buying food, paying bills. With modern technology, most governments of the first and developing world could easily implement sanctions to any dissenters of state laws with the simple act of not issuing an IPOS or credit card. Russia is now in the interim phases of issuing a universal ID card that can be used for just about anything, including visiting a doctor, traveling on a bus, a driver's license, as well as shopping for groceries. Americans over the past decade have witnessed an all-out assault on their beloved Constitution by U.S. presidents and policymakers, promising protection in exchange for a loss of liberties. Will the mark of the beast be enforced by a similar cause and effect scenario? One thing is for sure, this prophecy is one of the least understood last-day events. We must look to the source that gives us an unadulterated understanding of what exactly is the beast, and what is its mark of its authority. The Holy Bible is the only reliable starting point. The book of Daniel chapter 7 verse 23 tells us that a beast is a kingdom or power, but here are more clues on this beast. What power ruled the world for 1216 years, from 538 AD to 1798 AD, received a deadly wound that later heals? Revelation chapter 13 verse 3 is both a political and religious power, which is worshipped. Revelation chapter 13 verse 4 tempered and changed God's law. Daniel chapter 7 verse 25 has a leader that claims to be God on earth and claims to be able to forgive sins, which is blasphemy. Revelation chapter 13 verse 1 is a mother church, meaning daughters have come out of her. Revelation chapter 17 verse 5 made war with the saints. Revelation chapter 13 verse 7 is a power that the world wonders after. Revelation chapter 13 verse 3 to 4 has a man at the head of it with the number of his name being 666. Revelation chapter 13 verse 18 has a mark, which, if received when enforced, will cause the individual to be cast into the lake of fire and lose eternal life, after having to go through the 7 last plagues of God's unmingled wrath. Without a doubt, all these clues point to the papacy. But what is the mark of her authority? Let's ask the papacy, what is her mark? Sunday is our mark or authority. The Church is above the Bible, and this transference of Sabbath observance is proof of that fact. Catholic Record of London, Ontario, September 1st, 1923. Here is another quote from the Catholic Church. Of course the Catholic Church claims that the change, Saturday Sabbath to Sunday, was her act, and the act is a mark of her ecclesiastical authority in religious things. H. F. Thomas, Chancellor of Cardinal Gibbons. One of the greatest deceptions of all time is what day we should keep holy. The Bible is very clear on this matter. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. Exodus chapter 20 verse 8. This commandment was never an option, neither was it acceptable to change this law written by the finger of God in stone. All the disciples and all the early churches kept the true Sabbath, Saturday. Many in the world today think that the seventh day is Sunday. Here they are mistaken. Sunday is the first day of the week, and Saturday is the seventh. This false Sabbath was instituted in Rome in 321 AD by Roman Emperor Constantine, who in his nominal conversion to Christianity, amalgamated the Christian religion with paganism, moving the Sabbath to the pagan sun worship day. This political move wrung unity throughout Rome, but the cost was the desecration to the holy Sabbath of God, the fourth commandment. In recent years, the Vatican has denied that when a pope is crowned he receives the title Vicarius Filii Dei. The denial is due to the pope being exposed as the Antichrist, as this name adds up to 666. But the overwhelming historical evidence is exceedingly difficult to conceal. Vicarius Filii Dei, Latin. Vicar or representative of the Son of God adds up to 666 in Latin, Greek and Hebrew. The government of the United States of America historically has been distrustful of the papacy and its far-reaching plan for world domination, but since the Reagan administration these two superpowers have opened diplomatic relations. U.S. presidents now visit the Vatican. George W. Bush even held a birthday party for Pope Benedict XVI at the White House. How the views of Protestants have changed since the early settlers, who taught their children to despise the Vatican. In recent years the divide between Protestants and the Roman Catholic Church has all but disappeared. The Sunday-keeping churches are the daughters of the papacy, keeping the illegitimate Sunday, which is the Vatican's mark. The mark of the beast. The Protestants of the United States will be foremost in stretching in their hands across the gulf to grasp the hand of spiritualism. They will reach over the abyss to clasp hands with the Roman power, and under the influence of this threefold union, the country will follow in the steps of Rome in trampling on the rights of conscience. I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Revelation chapter 13 verse 11. Here is a striking figure of the rise and growth of our own nation, the United States of America. And the lamb-like horns, emblems of innocence and gentleness, will represent the character of our government, as expressed in its two fundamental principles, republicanism and Protestantism. But the United States of America will end up speaking like a dragon, and instituting the Sunday law and putting the saints, who keep God's holy day, the Sabbath, to death. Revelation chapter 13 verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, or in their foreheads. The mark of the beast on the right hand and on the forehead is symbolic of thoughts and actions. People will have two choices: to keep pagan Sunday or the God-given Sabbath as a holy day. Revelation chapter 13 verse 14. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, and did live. The image of the beast, put simply, is apostate Protestantism, who represents the papacy by enforcing the mark of papal authority of Sunday worship. After a period of economic sanctions placed on the saints, those saints who persist to refuse the mark of the beast will finally be put to death. Revelation chapter 13 verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and caused that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Revelation chapter 20 verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads, or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. Many people speculate that the guillotine will make a re-emergence, as the saints who are martyred will be beheaded. There will be a group who faithfully keep God's commandments, who will never see death. This group will be called the 144,000. Revelation 14 verse 1. The United States economy seems to flounder at times, though it still remains the largest and most dominant economy in the world. The United States still imposes sanctions and has economic and military might to compel countries to adopt certain policies and even a Sunday law upon their citizens.